nothing. So I'm not sure I want them to do too much.
No, they're fine.
It's just
Leave it.
each time they do it, they lock it up more.
There we go. We are on.
We're on the air?
Let me start the tape. I got one more to start.
You're on TV now.
I should dial in and see if we'll watch ourselves, huh?
See, I can see it. in the computer.
Oh, she has it up.
Okay, we're on
Oh, that's the
there.
picture. Oh, that's not bad.
Calling to order the special council work session of Wednesday, May 18th. Please call the roll.
Mr. Knoll, Ms. Zatrek, Ms. Weltman,
Here.
Mr. Daga,
Here.
Mr. Lemay,
Here.
Mr. Gentili, Dr. Wong.
Here.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, audience. Yeah, we're going to.
Good.
But I thought you got started already.
We're going to begin our meeting tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All the Zoom meetings, you forget these things.
Would the first agenda item would be the approval of the minutes of April 20th and April 27th. Could I please have a motion regarding the minutes of April 20th?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any, roll call, please.
Ms. Weltman,
Yes.
Mr. Daga.
Yes.
Mr. Lemay.
Yes.
Mr. Gentili.
Yes.
Dr. Wong.
Yes.
Next, a motion for the adoption of the minutes of April 27th, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Weltman,
Yes.
Mr. Daga.
Yes.
Mr. Lemay,
Yes.
Mr. Gentili.
Yes.
Dr. Wong.
Yes.
Great. We have on for introduction tonight an ordinance to enter into an agreement with the Regional Sewer District. This is for the expenditure of about $150,000 of our cost share fund that the city accumulates. This is the money that we receive from Regional Sewer District for stormwater regional sewer projects, the 25%, right? The 25% return that we receive from those fees paid. Don, you want to explain what the project is, please?
Yes, this is actually the Gates Mills Boulevard Detention Basin project that Regional is working on. If you're familiar, that's where they demolished the house already, and they're going to be doing some stream restoration in the median of Gates Mills Boulevard where the existing detention basin is, just a little bit west of Lander Road. So it's a substantial project. It's designed to reduce flooding, improve water quality, and the vast majority of the work and cost is being spent by Regional. It's over $2 million that are into this project. But there are some ancillary items that are technically part of our system, not part of the Regional system. And Regional reached out to us to participate to the tune of about $150,000 for some of the small stuff that's attached to their bigger project. And it's all being done by them, and the money is an account that they hold on to, and they'll withdraw roughly $30,000 a year for 5 years out of the account.
And what is this? What's the stream or river that flows?
That's a branch of the Pepper Creek. It's
It
one
is.
of the branches. You know, one kind of flows. It goes through the country clubs, and across the Shaker, and then it ends up in Hunting Valley. But that's really one of the main branches. It actually starts in Mayfield Heights. The lake at Ursuline College is that same branch. It
Okay.
discharges back into that stream. It goes under
So-
Gates Mills Boulevard, and another branch comes from the west and connects.
So it comes south through Ursuline? Or
Yeah, there's one that does that, and there's another one that kind of comes from the west, and they both meet just south of Gates Mills Boulevard. It's you have to look
Okay.
at a map, but it's
they're all underground, right? Or at least around Gates Miles, they're all underground.
a lot of it's underground. That chunk is exposed right now. It's a short run, and there's an outlet structure there that we periodically have some issues with. When the detention basin was built about over 20 years ago, it did a lot to try to reduce the flooding downstream, but there's also some material that gets trapped there. They re-engineered it essentially, and they spent a lot more money than we would have ever spent on redesigning it to make it a little bit bigger.
Okay.
It functions better. Like I said, they bought a house, demolished a house. They're going to reroute some of the storm line through that where that house was.
And that was on the south side of Gates Mills?
On the south side of Gates Mills, correct.
And then the water comes out by that house now, and it's free flowing above ground for that stretch, right? And then
Yes.
goes back underground or no?
After that, it pretty much stays. There are bridges that it goes underneath, but it's
Okay.
visible all the way after that.
And then goes into the country club and
Yes,
and on this one.
across this lander.
And so this will be digging that out more? What, can you give me?
The existing basin, they're making it slightly larger, but they're also going to restore a portion of the stream. Right now, the stream is maybe, let's say, 50 feet long. They're going to make it several hundred feet long and add a little bit of sinuosity to it, make it a little wavy, and then they're tying in at a different point. So by doing that, they daylight a portion of the stream. They let the stream naturalize a little bit,
Okay.
and they're also going to make the basin a little bit bigger. And the way it functions, it'll hold more water during some of the really big storms, but some of the smaller storms, it'll pass through. A little
So
easier.
preventing downstream flooding is.
It'll reduce erosion and both downstream and also right there at Gates Mills Boulevard,
Okay.
which, we've had in the past 5 years, we've had at least 3 or 4 incidents where we've
Right.
overtopped the
Right.
basin.
And
But
what's
that
the
was
distinction
pro-
between the money we will spend for the 150 and they will? How do you?
It's
what's the-
probably, it's more than 20 to 1.
But what's the physical thing that we're going to, what's our money going to?
Our
as
money is essentially for a head wall on a small branch of the stream that ties into this overall system,
Okay.
and some other minor ancillary things that tie into this big detention basin project.
So it's upstream from that? Upstream
It's on the
from
very upstream end of this overall project that they're building.
Okay.
It's attached to their project.
But their 2 million is for all that other stuff they're doing,
Yes.
making the stream go,
Yeah, it's more than 2 million, but it's
Wow.
a lot. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. For some reason, I thought it was closer to 3.
But when you throw in the real estate thing, it's probably closer to 3.
Are they gonna take another house or is it?
No. Well, they took the house. It's gone.
Yeah,
So,
right,
but they
but-
bought the property, and I don't know exactly what they paid for it, but it's
So they're gonna make.
They're-
Wow.
they're putting in some big pipes and some big control structures, and
Wow.
it's an engineering. It'll be their feature project for a while.
So
you-
this ties into, this is Pepper Loose, right?
This is yes. It's one
So
of the-
this ties into the work that they've already accomplished on the north side of the street, right?
well, another branch.
Another branch
on
of it.
Shaker. That's another branch. There's like 5 or 6 branches that all kind of converge at the country clubs.
They converge in the country.
Most of them tie
Yeah.
in right there at the country club.
Okay.
So
So will this have downstream impacts as far as the flow or the speed of the water once it comes together? Will it, or is that?
it really
other-
won't change the dynamic much. I mean, incrementally, some tiny amount, but it won't be really substantial. What it will do is it'll improve water quality a little bit.
Okay,
Just letting the water, settle out a little bit. It'll be a little clearer, a little cleaner.
okay. So it won't improve the big storm impacts
The
yet.
big storm is still going to go there. I have to tell you, it's going to, change it by a couple percent. That would probably be it. You're
All right.
dealing with such a big drainage area at that point
Mhm,
that these, even though they're large basins, it's not going to have a huge impact.
Gotcha.
Eventually this goes into Chagrin River, right? Down
It all
there.
ends up in the Chagrin, correct?
And that's in through,
Cuts through Hunting Valley, goes in by down by. It's in Hunting Valley, and it cuts across the Metro Parks down.
they just put a new bridge over that down there, right? Yeah. Where the Metro Park is, I think.
Yeah.
And the 150-some thousand, Don, if I understand, that's really not our direct cost. It comes out of the,
It comes out of that community cost share fund,
Which is
we
with
get
the-
about 100,000 a year put into that fund, and so this will be a portion of that, and they'll take it out periodically, and it's something that they look for a little bit of participation on this overall large spend that they're going to have to take care of some of these things that really are part of our system, not part of their bigger system.
Mhm.
It's I think it's a worthwhile way to go about it.
And the line between their system and our system is
The rough number, anything that's over a drainage area of 300 acres, so about half a square mile,
Mhm.
anything smaller than that is part of our system. Anything
Okay.
that's larger than that is sort of the break line. So you could do a calculation and approximate where it is, but there's no like, okay, it's exactly the
Right.
spot. It's roughly in a zone. So,
So the 150 is for projects that are just a little bit outside that?
right.
Okay. And is there anything else you'd want to spend the 150 on in the next 2 or 3 years that is more pressing than this?
This is pressing. Yeah, this is a big improvement. And I know from, service department, we have a maintenance issue a little bit. When we do get a big storm, there's a lot of debris that collects right there.
Okay.
The way that they've got this set up, it'll function differently. They will actively be doing the maintenance on the inlet if it does get blocked. I mean, service department's always there is our first line of defense,
Right.
but periodically they'll come out and do the maintenance on it.
Don,
Yes.
I just make sure I understand the money, because I didn't understand it, I guess, when I was reading it. We are authorizing them to use money that is set aside on our behalf, that are paid by our residents. And 25% of what our residents pay goes into this fund.
Correct.
So this doesn't come out of the Pepper Pike budget at all. This is money that is, held in trust for us,
It's
I
being
guess.
directed. It's an account that we have. We have certain stipulations as to how we could spend it and the types of projects. We need their authorization for us to spend it. They actually submitted the request
Yeah.
on our behalf to get this money.
Yeah. So I guess I have a question probably that Joe can answer. Does this money show up on our books anywhere since it's held in trust for us?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
does not. And if for some reason we choose not to spend it over a 5-year period, they actually can take the money back.
Oh, okay. So it isn't
Use it or lose it.
Yes,
ours.
correct.
per se, okay.
Ton, I have a question. You said it's going to take maybe 5 years to complete the project?
No, the
No?
project will
Oh.
be done, it'll probably be about a construction
Okay.
season. The withdrawal of funds, they will space
Oh.
that out over 5 years
Got it.
so that they're not going to clean out our account. Essentially, they'll just take a small amount each year for 5 years.
Okay,
They're
how
gonna
much
front
is
the
in that
money
account?
for 5 years.
got it.
Do you know how much is in the account now?
It's we've used it for a lot of projects, and we, because it's there and you're supposed to spend it. But I would say right now it's probably $100,000. It's not a huge amount right now.
And the
We've
money,
used it for projects such as the South Woodland intersection,
Right,
that the money went to projects like that in the past.
okay.
sorry, since I'm new, how does that money get into that fund again? Is it from the stormwater fees that we pay
The
as a
stormwater fees
community?
that they collect
Okay.
from the city,
Got
each
it.
community takes in a certain amount, and 25%
I
of it
see.
gets set aside for these types
Got
of projects.
And then how will it interact with the proposed Gates Mills Boulevard Trail in that retention basin area?
In their planning, they anticipated that we may end up doing some type of a trail either on the north side or the south side. So we gave them that information early on in their design as a possible option.
All right. All right, well, it's really up to council. We can, we're missing two. We can either treat this as a first reading tonight, vote on it next week, or we can suspend and do it tonight. I leave it to you guys.
Yes, there's, but two of us missing. Otherwise I'd go ahead. I don't know if,
I know Scott supports us.
yeah. And
I don't think,
I mean,
it's up to you guys.
I'm
Why
okay.
don't we,
Do it.
Why don't we go ahead and
Just
do
go
it?
ahead.
Yeah,
Why don't we have-
I generally prefer 2 readings, but I think this is such an obvious
Yeah.
benefit to the city. I can't imagine that the other 2 would have any opposition.
I don't.
I can't even,
Anticipate it.
it's such a benefit to the city. It's such a positive impact in my estimation.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to suspend then.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Ms. Weltman,
Yes.
Mr. Daga,
Yes.
Mr. Lemay,
Yes.
Mr. Gentili.
yes.
Dr. Wong.
Yes.
And a motion for the adoption of 2022-12.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any, roll call, please.
Ms. Weltman,
Yes.
Mr. Daga.
Yes.
Mr. Lemay,
Yes.
Mr. Gentili.
Yes.
Dr. Wong.
Yes.
Great, we'll proceed with that then. Next on our agenda, we have a motion to approve the bid of TC Construction in the amount of $322,750 for the city's concrete program. This is our streets program that council previously authorized us to send out to bid. Don, you want to reflect on this?
TC is a contractor that's done our program in the past. They do nice work. This will cover really all the point repairs that we have in town. Once, based on the pricing, what then happens is Jim and I and also finance, we go over and try to go through our list of what we want to get done. But the bulk of the work is going to be at the Eaton Cortland subdivision, that Eaton collection over there, and a couple repairs on Lander Road. And it's not a huge project this year, but we've gotten that's a good competitive price on the work.
Okay. How have prices, have they jumped up a lot in inflation or not?
I would say in the past 2 weeks, they've jumped up.
Really?
It's so wacky. It's hard to predict. I mean, literally, we bid 40 or 50 different items in different towns, and we've gotten some unusual numbers just in the past few days on projects.
Interesting.
Although I think both this one and our asphalt program were actually really solid and good prices on them.
Okay. We'll entertain a motion for the approval of the bid.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Now, once we know the total amount, how do you pick subparts of that, and how do we assign value to that of this bucket?
We have unit prices for all the different items that are in there in the project, and we have a game plan for how we want to approach doing the work. So generally, what happens is we'll spend quite a bit less than that total.
I see.
But we want to make sure that we have enough quantity in the bid so that we get reasonable competitive prices. And there's a few contingency items like a catch basin replacement. We may or may not use it, but we want to make sure that we have those options in the contract.
And at that point, you could use the money for something
We
else.
could either do more concrete repair or choose not to do that particular item.
And they would bid those,
They're all bid separate.
they're all bid
items.
separately, so you can pick and choose.
Right. That's how the unit price contract.
And what were the roads on this? The concrete is?
It's mostly there's a little bit of work on Lander Road, some concrete slab repairs south of the circle. And then that Eaton collection, Eaton, Portland, and there's a bunch of small little side streets in there.
Okay.
They need some attention.
Yeah.
How does
South
this,
of the Gates
South
Mills
of
Circle
no,
or
south
the-
of Chagrin.
Chagrin.
are you seeing increases from last year or previous years, or? is it compared
These
to-
prices were a little higher, maybe 5% or so, but not anything that's way out of whack. So.
Anything more? Can we have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Did we do that already?
I think maybe we did.
I think we did too. Okay.
Oh, did we already?
Okay.
I think I asked a
That was
question
it.
before.
Okay.
Mayor goes.
We asked for it, but Mono had some more questions.
Yeah, never got, there we go.
Okay, so we have a first and a second, and we'll call the roll.
Ms. Weltman?
Yes.
Mr. Naga?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Gentili?
Yes.
Dr. Wong?
Yes.
All right, item 5 on the agenda is the other side of the streets project, the asphalt bid of specialized construction in the amount of $432,480 for the 22 asphalt program. Don, anything more about that?
Very similar situation. We only had actually 2 bidders on this, and we got, I think, a really good aggressive bid from the low bidder. And we had 5 or 6 contractors pick it up, but for some reason, not all of them bid it. I think a lot of these guys are getting busy and they're choosing to not bid on some stuff. So happy with the pricing. Specialized has done the program here several times in the past 10 years. Very competent, capable company, and same type of thing.
And any particular streets that take the lion's share of this?
Bremerton is an in-place recycling process where we grind up the existing material and relay it down and put an overlay on the top. We've done that in the past on some other subdivisions. So that's the bulk of it. Maybe some point repairs on New Brainerd and a couple other spots that Jim and I will put together.
Any other questions?
And this spending for these 2 programs this year compared to prior years, do you happen to remember? Is it?
These are quite a bit smaller. I think that was a good move. We're in pretty good shape, and it's just a very unpredictable year in terms of trying to bid stuff. So I think it made sense to
Okay.
pull back a little bit, take care of the important stuff, and not have a huge program.
So from an overall roads infrastructure standpoint, we're kind of over the huge hump and more consistent annual spending now than giant one-offs.
Well, I think so, but you still are going to have things like Shaker Boulevard or a main thoroughfare
Right.
where you're going to take.
It's going to be
a pretty
lumpy
big-
for the big ones.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But generally speaking, the side streets are in really pretty good shape. This is
Yeah.
some of
Great
the
to
worst ones right here.
Good.
And the quick question, I guess same question, the pricing, I know it's a smaller project,
Yeah, a little
comparable.
bit higher,
little higher.
not a huge amount. I'll bore you a little bit. ODOT has an adjustment that they allow contractors to adjust the price of their materials based on the price of asphalt, the oil content.
Okay.
And in our spec, we say we're not going to let you adjust it.
Oh,
Because
okay.
that's a big exposure. You get
Sure.
a project and all of
Yeah.
a sudden the asphalt price goes up
Mhm.
20%. And now you're paying this huge premium and you're locked into a contract.
Sure.
So,
But because of that, they bid higher, right? Because they don't want
they-
to take the whole risk.
They
right?
take some of the risk, right? But that's
So
that's the
we could
game.
get a lower price if we let them do that, maybe.
maybe, but then you have maybe a
Right.
big exposure. Yeah.
And sometimes you get bit by that exposure.
Yes. He's hedging. I get that.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions? Then we'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Weltman,
Yes,
Mr. Daga.
Yes.
Mr. Lemay.
Yep.
Mr. Gentili.
Yes.
Dr. Wong.
Yes.
All right. We had a planning meeting, I guess, since we were asked together, weren't we?
yeah, I guess we did. We did.
We did.
Seems so long ago.
Seems like a long time ago.
It does feel like a long time ago.
We had a request for a variance, that was at Ainsworth and Lander. It was a corner lot, for an addition. Variance was granted. There was already some encroachment, and it's a conversation maybe for another time, because the corner lots seem to have comparable issues from time to time. So, but it was pretty simple. I think we had some good, robust discussion about where else the addition could be located on the property, and that was part of the decision process.
These corner lots are challenging sometimes
Mhm.
because they sit, particularly when they're on the main thoroughfares. The side lot is built technically already over the setback areas, and they're complicated lots when these issues come up. So I thought the Planning Commission did a really commendable job of analyzing it and coming up with a resolution to the request. So I congratulate them for that. Thank you, Melanie. I think that was the only thing on the agenda.
That was the only thing we had.
Right. Our finance director is attending out of town some mandatory, what's it called?
MFOA.
MFOA training program that need to attend. So he's at that. Our police chief is not here because his son is competing in the districts for running. So I excused him for that. So he is not here, but we are fortunate to have Fire Chief John Fraser here with us tonight. And
You got reports for everyone? there, John?
Chief Fraser, he'll probably say, it's all good.
Nothing to report.
Okay. How about you, Mr. Service Director?
No, nothing to report.
And Don has been talking for 20 minutes, so he's done. All right, that brings it to me. I'm going to slip this off for a second so I don't choke on my own.
Can I ask a
Carbon
committee
dioxide?
question?
Yeah.
Are we making any progress on getting an infrastructure committee scheduled?
Yes, I talked to Scott about that last week. And we're going to be sending some suggested times around.
Okay, thank you.
In order of go, this Memorial Day, we will be having our Memorial Day commemoration. I invite and encourage you all to be there. It is on May 30th, commencing at 10 a.m. I confirmed today with the director of the Orange High School Band that the band will be present. They will be accompanied by the Orange Lionettes. And they always have a special presentation of music, including all of the songs of the various service branches, as you know. Our guest speaker that day is going to be Larry Morrow, who you may remember from Wixie 1260.
Yeah. Wow.
Larry has remained. That's right. Larry is a very wonderful and engaged guy who is now a professor adjunct at John Carroll University in their leadership training program there. And he's a wonderful speaker. He's a former Marine, which I had not known.
Who knew?
Who knew? He was
He's still a Marine. You know that, right? There's no former Marine.
Semper Fi, always a Marine. One of our past admirals who had spoken for us actually brought that to my attention.
My father reminded me occasionally.
He was a Marine?
He was.
You are not, I don't.
I'm not.
He reminded you of that also, I guess. So Larry has some wonderful words and remembrances to share with us. So I encourage everyone to be here for that event. Next, on June 18th, June 18th, we will be having, the city is participating with Ursuline College in a celebration of the new federal holiday, Juneteenth. Juneteenth is actually on the 19th, but that is also Father's Day, and the college, in organizing this, felt that it was best that they conducted on the 18th so they didn't disrupt other people's days with their families, I'm sure. So on June 18th, I want to extend our appreciation to Dr. Margaret McKenzie, one of our proud residents who is participating in the planning committee with the college on our behalf. And I appreciate Dr. McKenzie's work on that. Dr. McKenzie, of course, is the president of South Point Hospital also. The next event coming up is one that's very exciting that was sent out and announced in today's edition of the Pepper Pike Post, which is the resumption of the Taste of Pepper Pike, which will occur on June 26th from 5 to 8 p.m. I've received many calls from people wanting to know if we were going to be able to resume this favorite event of many people this year. And I'm very happy that we were able to overcome the challenges of restaurant staffing, which was, regardless of the desire. Some restaurants could not always participate who wanted to because they confronted their own staffing issues, but some overcame that. We have other new participants who are excited that they are having the opportunity. It's a great lineup. We're going to change things up just a little bit this year. We're having a chef challenge, and there'll be a competition between the chefs for an award of the best dish that they present. and we'll have a panel of 3 judges. The award this year of Best Chef for the Taste of Pepper Pike is also going to be named in honor of a young chef who passed away in the very early stages of COVID. And a lot of the chefs are very excited to be able to be competing for an award in his honor. So we hope that we spiced it up, and we hope they will step it up to bring us extra special dishes this year. And the music will be terrific because Mike Patrone and Christine Jackson are coming back, and they're putting together a band of some of the finest musicians in Northeastern Ohio to entertain everyone. And that's very special. They were excited to be able to come back and participate in this event. So very happy that they were able to clear their schedule to do that. And that's basically what I have. Next week, we'll probably have more announcements. We're trying to get the rest of our summer scheduling in order. And Becky will continue to announce that in the Pepper Pike Post as events come up so that people will be aware. And that's really what I have to say. I did one other thing. I was in Columbus all day yesterday at a meeting with state legislators on various legislative issues that are confronting municipalities all over the state. This was the Northeast Ohio mayors who traveled down to Columbus for this meeting. And it was productive. One of the more interesting conversations that I'm sure we'll be hearing more about is an issue that's been going on. There's the Airbnb bill is pending, came out of committee this week, I believe, and it's predicted that the House will adopt it and it'll move on to the Senate. I've spoken out against that recently, and it is a significant challenge to the home rule principle for cities to be able to regulate their own wishes regarding short-term rentals. As you know, we in Pepper Pike experienced our own problem with a short-term rental during the NBA All-Star competition. And this is a significant challenge to home rule. And communities across the state are opposing it. And it is nevertheless thought that the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, however, is staunchly behind it. And it is thought that it is probably likely going to come out of the House, perhaps this week still, and then go on to the Senate for hopefully a more careful deliberation.
This prohibits localities from regulating short-term rentals
Yes,
completely?
yes.
And what's a short-term rental?
Call it an Airbnb, if you will.
No, time-wise.
Overnight or more.
So
I don't know
we can't
exactly.
regulate 5-year rentals, or, I mean,
I don't know how they've defined it actually, Jim,
Okay.
as the short term. I'm assuming it's in the Airbnb range,
Yeah.
a day, a few days, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That part I know about. How far out they extend that regulation, I don't know.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I'd have to refer
I
back to the
mean, we
legislation.
regulate rental properties now by requiring registration, et cetera.
Yes, we do.
So
And
it wouldn't
for
interfere with
instance,
that.
beg pardon?
It wouldn't interfere with that?
I don't know exactly how that intersects with that.
Okay.
That may be a consequence.
Depends how they define.
Depends how they
Yeah,
define it,
right.
right. The other legislation that was discussed, and we had the folks who regulate the Ohio and monitor the Ohio pension funds speak to the group. And as you know, the Police and Fire Pension Fund has promoted a piece of legislation to change the contributions by municipalities and villages to be 26.5%, up to 20, to bring it up to 26.5% over the next few years, and which is a very significant contribution. Regardless of your community, it would cost the city of Cleveland millions of dollars. It's going to be staged in over a 5-year period, and I'll have it for you next week. Joe has calculated the number for us, and it just flew out of my head. There are some communities that it would basically put back into fiscal emergency because they simply don't have the money for it. They operate on margin right now, and it's a challenge. There are some principles that everyone in the room could agree to, that the wonderful men and women of the fire and police departments deserve a stable pension fund. And the challenge is how is that accomplished? You know, you can accomplish it through the employer contribution, which is what this bill addresses. You can accomplish it through greater employee contributions, which is not addressed. You can address it through benefit and retirement aspects, which the fund is not addressing. Now, in fairness, some of those items have been addressed in past years. OPERS did a significant redo of its pension fund a few years ago. It's not really clear how fast-tracked this is going to be, but it is not to be surprised. No one should be surprised if this gets passed and adopted in the lame duck session of this session of the General Assembly. And the municipalities are all asking that there's not there's in the future a cliff, but the cliff isn't here. And we would hope that a more careful evaluation of ways to address the future shortfalls can be addressed. One of the major reasons why this is on a fast track is the actuarial assumptions changed in February of this year, I believe, for an assumed 8% growth was dropped to 7.5%. And some of the investments were not meeting the assumptions. So a problem is structural. It's a defined benefit plan, and that is a problem. That's why you don't see defined benefit plans very often at all in the private sector anymore. It's a very challenging pension model to try to sustain. So that may be coming on our horizon, and I'll have a better number for you of what the current legislation would mean economically for us next week. And that's what I have for you this evening. Council, any comments? All right, great.
I'll just add to Mayor what you were saying. I think I read somewhere not so long ago that the total actuarial underfunding in the public retirement system exceeds $9 trillion.
Yeah.
The nationwide.
Yeah.
And Ohio's in better shape than most states.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Places like Illinois and New Jersey that are never going to get out of the hole.
And no one is saying that this is not a problem and a real challenge as to how you dig out of the hole.
Yeah.
But that's why it needs a open and honest discussion. I think there are a lot of legislators who are perhaps it's an election year for them, and no one wants to be charged with that they are either not supportive of the police or fire, which I understand. I don't know personally I don't know anyone actually who is not supportive of the police and fire personally. I hear about it, but I know no one who isn't. I think this is an economic arithmetic problem that has to be figured out. And, it means people are going to have to be adults so far as sitting down and being able to have a conversation about it. Because it's a problem and needs to get resolved. Any audience comments? Ms. Luchin?
I just have a question. On voting day and the day before voting day, on the corner of New Brainerd, all four corners, South Woodland and New Brainerd, there were the political signs up. Now, and that's, I'm assuming, public property. That's not.
If it was in the right of way, that was public property.
Yeah, so does the city remove those automatically or?
Yeah, if they were.
Police?
Yeah, we can't jump on them always, particularly on election day. A lot of people run out and stick these signs in the ground. As they were observed, yeah, they'd be taken out. Hopefully the candidates took them out after the election.
I think.
Well, that's unfortunate. We don't like to clean up the trash from a lot of other people's political ambitions. Manny?
Manny Nash, could you give us an update on the status of the survey that's been done, the independent survey?
I have nothing to currently update you about. I've made some inquiries about it, but I've not heard back about it.
It's moving forward.
What? I couldn't hear you, Manny.
It's moving forward. I mean,
Yeah. It's always been moving forward. Yes. Anyone else? All right. I think then we are ready to adjourn. And I hereby at 13 minutes after 8 adjourn this meeting.
That's what happens when two members are absent.
Now we know who's prolonging the meeting.
Yeah.